Yeah, there is no mention of Chapter 44 and Chapter 93. So in order to approve the water warrants, you would treat them the same that you do the light department warrants, because the water department was, as of this date, was under the jurisdiction of the light plan.
Thank you. And if I,
Thank you.
counsel, if you put your hand up.
Yeah, I wanted to make a couple of points. If any of you have watched a Red Sox game, you know that there's an umpire, and he calls the balls and the strikes. And the town has an umpire. That umpire is town council. And town council has called a strike here. That means that the ruling on the field, if you will, is that there is no budget. We have looked at the statute, and I can go through this line by line, but we're pretty comfortable that there wasn't an intent here to deprive the voters of the town of a say. The intent behind the statute was to deprive the Board of Selectmen of that role, but it left, in our view, the voters as the ultimate arbitrator. So that's the ruling on the field. Until a judge changes that, we've advised you that you can't sign anything after July 1 because there is no appropriation. Why do we say an appropriation is needed? First, there's a presumption in favor of democracy. There's a presumption in favor of every citizen having a say. Number two, the statute specifically says that this shall operate as an enterprise fund until changed by law. And at the time this was voted, you are all familiar with how an enterprise fund operates, and you still are familiar with how an enterprise fund operates. So before this was voted and after this was voted, the voters still participated in the process. Now, 12, 13 years later, we're saying, oh no, actually back then, we did something more than what the words say. We actually took away from all the voters a say in their future and in the operation of an important part of the town. Wow, this statute doesn't say that. The statute also tracks the language from the enterprise fund statute, because it says that the manager shall, not less than 120 days prior to the expiration of the fiscal year of said town, furnish to the Board of Selectmen a detailed estimate in writing of the appropriations required during the next succeeding fiscal year for the proper exercise and performance of said rights and duties. First, that language is identical to the language of the enterprise fund statute. And secondly, what does the word required appropriations mean? Why are the selectmen being told what the required appropriations are to operate this department if there aren't going to be any appropriations by town meeting? So we've called this, as I've said before, as a strike. And after the town voted, the manager said to me, we're going to disregard this vote. And I said to him then, and I say to you now, we can't recommend that the vote of a town in town meeting assembled should be just ignored and disregarded. It does have meaning. I mean, why do you all come to town meeting? And why do you vote if your votes mean nothing? So there's a presumption of validity behind the actions that you've been doing for more than a decade. We have recommended two ways to resolve this thing. The first, we have said, call a special town meeting, get your budget to the advisory committee, have the advisory committee review the issue, and appropriate a budget for the water department. There's no reason to shut down the water department. Town meeting voted no. I was there. They voted no because apparently there wasn't enough information. Well, clear that issue up, put an article on the special town meeting, and decide it. Let the voters vote a budget for the water department. The second way we had recommended doing it, which the chair has discussed, was to pass an article that puts in the words that are in dispute. It makes it clear that it's an enterprise fund. That vote will not take effect unless the Attorney General approves it. So the Water Department and its lawyers can submit all the briefs they want to the Attorney General. And if the Attorney General feels, oh yeah, the voters of the town gave away their right to vote, the Attorney General will say no to that vote and disallow it. If, on the other hand, I think the Attorney General is going to say, yes, the voters have this right. And if the Attorney General approves it, then that right for the voters to participate in this is established once and for all. No lawsuits, no court appearances, discovery, all that kind of stuff. The Attorney General makes the call. It's all pretty simple. Either appropriate the money or set it up so the Attorney General decides it once and for all. Yes, if they want to sue, they can sue to overturn the decision that I've made. But why do that? Why spend that money on either side, by anyone? Because ultimately, I think they're going to lose. So what do you have? You have them spending money, the town spending money. At the end of the day, I think they're going to come to the same conclusion that I come to.
Thank you.
I can have a word of rebuttal.
Sure.
Word of rebuttal is that you all do have rights, and you all do have representation. And because your water department was merged into your light department, your representation is the Light and Water Board. And so if you're unhappy that somebody is spending money incorrectly in the Light and Water Department, your representation is to not come to the Select Board meeting and complain here, but go to the Light and Water Board meeting and complain there. And when the vote comes up, the Light and Water Board, when the vote comes up for the Light and Water Board, if you don't like somebody who's on the Light and Water Board, that's democracy. Then you don't vote for them. But when the legislature set up the electric and light departments, they decided that that business, the business of making sure that the lights are on in your homes, was too important to leave to the whim of town meeting. And town meeting can sometimes vote the right way, but when you're looking to buy a solar facility that's going to run for 25 years, you don't want to have people who are upset or who are showing up for school override and who vote on something in an electric budget. And in this town decided in the year 2000 at town meeting that the water budget was too important to let it slip through the cracks, and it should be merged into the light department. And so if you have a beef with the water or light department, your beef is not with the Select Board, it's not with town meeting, your beef is with the Light and Water Board, and if you don't like them, you don't re-elect them. Your vote does count. Democracy does count in Templeton. Everybody does have a vote. So that's the way it was set up. And if you want to change it, you go to Boston. But it's been called a strike. It's been called a ball. I guess we're going to have to go to the Commissioner of Baseball. But we do absolutely need to have a budget. We're extremely confident that a vote by the Light and Water Board is exactly what was intended by the legislation that we wrote. When we talk about the intent of the legislation, We know. We know. We'll get prior board members, prior commissioners, everyone knew what was happening. Merged into the light department. No mention of chapter 44. Thank you very much.
Sure. And just one point of rebuttal, I will say that we do allow the ambulance and fire services up to the whims of the town, and I would argue that they are just as important, if not more important than water. But just as one
Well,
point
not when the electricity hits and the lights go out in your house.
That's
then
true.
You think it's the most important thing.
Unless I'm choking on a chicken bone, then I want that ambulance. But yes.
Mr. Chairman, through you to
Sure.
the attorney. I respect your right to have the opinion that you have, however erroneous I feel that it is. But if this was such an issue 13 years ago, why wasn't it brought forth then? Why wait till now when people have questions?
Well, whoever the town moderator was who put it on 15 years ago just kept doing it. Nobody stopped it. It
But
just
you
kept
didn't
doing
speak up and say, this is wrong. Now you're saying that we were wrong all these years. I resent being called stupid.
Nobody's calling anybody, no, believe me, nobody's calling anybody stupid. I absolutely respect your right to disagree with my opinion. I think your lawyer is one of the finest lawyers around. So I'm not disputing his integrity. I'm not disputing his research. We've looked at the same things, and we've come. You watch the PBS NewsHour every night. Reasonable people can disagree.
Well, I'm certain there's a room full of people that agree with me. I respect you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I just have some issues.
Oh, sure, if I can just cut you off real quickly, if I could just remind everyone to state your name before you speak. So, thank you. Sure.
I just have a couple issues with that because, he said he believes. I, have a little issue with believing, and, I like to see some facts, case histories, something besides believing, because I believe he probably thought he had that document pretty well hammered out back those years ago, and here we are today. So I'm not sure just how much I believe about what he believes. So, facts and some case history is all
Thank you. Yes.
This is Beverly Bartolomeo. I don't know if council understands that this town is very, very broke. And I do not feel that the town can afford to get into a lawsuit because we will end up paying two bills. We will pay our lawyer and we end up paying you. So I would put my money on the Attorney General. There's no way on this earth we can go to court. And the people on the Light and Water Commission know that. So I think that, I'm sorry to cut you off at the knees, but we can't afford you.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to just, Beverly's bringing up a nice point. I mean, yes, this issue needs to be resolved, but it does not have to be resolved through lawsuits and courts. The Attorney General is a very good avenue that this town needs to go to. And if anybody, either side, forces us into a lawsuit and legal fees, they are not doing a service to this town. We need to run this through the Attorney General, and that's what Article 7 on this warrant would allow us to do.
Oh, sorry, just he had his hand up first, and I'll come to you, David.
I get 3 questions to ask.
Sure, can I have your name, please?
Bruce Miller.
Sure.
Do we own the light department?
Or is this directed at anyone in particular?
Right.
Are you directing the question at anyone in particular?
Well, I don't. Does the town of Templeton own the light department?
I guess that's a complicated. It is a municipal light department, yes.
Do we own the water department?
Yes, you use that.
What's that lawyer costing us right now? What's that lawyer gonna cost us?
Oh, that'll,
If we own it, we're paying for him, aren't we? He must be making a good penny tonight.
well, yeah. Okay, Dana, you want your hand up, or still? That's it. No, all set. Okay, are there any, yes, sir.
Walter Dennis, 27 Liberty Street, Waterford. In regards to the budget for the water department, one of the things that helped us as a town was to have clarity. So one of the things that happened with the enterprise account, yes, the budget was always presented at town meeting. Maybe it should have been, maybe it shouldn't have been. But it sure gave clarity to the taxpayers of the town at the town meeting. And no one was hurt by having clarity. Now, one of the things, if the chair will give me a little latitude, at the last annual town meeting, for years we had an article that gave the Board of Selectmen the right to borrow money in anticipation of revenue, and it was passed over. Someone said it was redundant. It really wasn't redundant. It gave clarity to the taxpayers of the community attending the town meeting because it informed them and reminded them that the Board of Selectmen had that power. If we follow this back to the problem that we have this evening, it isn't that the budget was submitted incorrectly. It's that it wasn't submitted to the desires of the Finance Committee. And this all goes back to how fine of a budget and how many line items you have to have when you submit your budget to the Finance Committee. If the Finance Committee has been satisfied with a number of line items and they had approved the budget, we wouldn't be here this evening. It all boils down to how much the Finance Committee has to micromanage the budgets for other elected officials besides the Board of Selectmen. And that is the main crux of our problem. And you know, as the gentleman to my left made a comment about the cost of lawyers, my wallet can't tell the difference between this lawyer or the other lawyer. My wallet sure can't tell the difference. If the Finance Committee requests for line items to the details that are, in their judgment, necessary, we will have this problem in the future. I think that we maybe, in this particular case, got too fine, and I know my friend is going to stand up most likely and tell me why there was more line items that was necessary. But there are elected officials, and if we don't have faith in our elected officials, then for God's sake, let's do away with elected other boards. Let the town manager and the Board of Selectmen take over.
Any other, yes,
Just very quickly, Light and Water Department just needs to be very clear about how, I think the gentleman has a wonderful suggestion that maybe things are getting overly formal, maybe it's just about information rather than formalities. Certainly, town council has said, why not just have town meeting approve the budget? So the Light and Water Department needs to have some certainty tonight. It needs to know whether the Board of Selectmen is going to recommend that budget of $1.413 million be approved at the special town meeting. Because if it's just going to be another formality and it's going to be recommended for approval, then I think the Light and Water Department can go on with business as usual. But if they have no certainty or at least assurance from this Board of Selectmen that they're going to recommend that budget be approved, then they're going to be forced to take steps. Unfortunately, they can't wait for the Attorney General to take months to make a decision. They either have to lay people off and send out shut-off notices, or they need to go to court. There's no in-between. Because there's no budget, and because the chair has gone on record saying that bills will not be signed by this board as of July 1st, the light and water department is between the proverbial rock and the hard place. So if the recommendation, well, it's certainly no laughing matter to turn water off on people's faucets. So is this board ready to recommend that that budget be approved at the special town meeting?
I would like to comment. I wasn't laughing at that. You missed the first part of the meeting where we were discussing special town meeting articles. The Light Commission has not resubmitted a budget for consideration at the special town meeting.
It was given to you in that green, the red binder by your appropriations person.
That was the budget that was voted in. That was not approved.
No, it's a different budget. If
When
you
was it
open-
approved by when was it approved by the commissioners? When did they vote to approve the 1.413? When did they take that vote? Because the commissioners are the
It'll-
one who submit
That's
the
correct.
articles
That's
to
correct.
the Board of Selectmen.
That's correct. It'll be
Yes.
voted on next week because
Our warrant closes on Wednesday at 10 a.m. That's when the warrant for this special town meeting closes.
so you have,
So,
yeah.
yeah. So what we did,
Who's gonna have a meeting? So she's home.
If I could have, if you'd like to be recognized, please raise your hand. I'll be more than happy to comment once we, I mean, you guys can
Right.
continue.
I did have,
So
We did
today's
submit-
Monday, I don't think you can post tomorrow on Tuesday and have a meeting on Wednesday.
exactly,
So there's not gonna be a vote of the light board before Wednesday.
right. So the light, because of the time frame, the Board of Selectmen submitted a budget, Article 7, for the special town meeting,
That will fund them for a quarter.
a quarter.
Well, I guess I'll have to talk to them, but I'm not sure whether that gets them out of the rock and the hard place.
Yeah, sure.
It does.
No,
No.
they're recommending that a quarterly budget be approved, so
Right,
kind
so-
of kick the can down the road.
Well, so that, right, kick it to the point where the Attorney General can make a decision.
Right, because the
Right.
article before that is the article that was passed over at town meeting to create a bylaw, to clarify.
Yes, oh, yes, council.
I just want to point out that the Congress of the United States hasn't adopted a federal budget in years. And what they've done is temporary spending measures. And I think what I heard for this Article 7 was that you wanted to have town meeting act like Congress is acting and
One-third budget.
do one-third. That is, you're not intending for them to cut their budget by two-thirds. You're intending to fund them for one-third of the year and then come back and fund them again, just like Congress has been doing for all the major
Right.
departments.
And hopefully within that time frame, we'll have a response from the Attorney General if Article 6 is passed at the special town meeting.
Yes, ma'am. Sure.
I just want to state, no, I didn't hear anything about this Article 7 until we came here tonight.
Right.
It's unfortunate because it actually wasn't brought, I don't believe, to our or our manager. So how would we actually know that this article was actually presented?
Well, that's why we're not voting on it tonight. This is to review and discuss. We're presenting our recommendations tonight.
Presented prior to just arriving here.
Right, but we have until today to continue to submit articles, basically, until we come here, so.
We have until-
Well, actually, we can still submit articles until,
Well, if you could submit your own article, I would urge you to avoid the rock and the hard place, to avoid Armageddon. I'd urge you to recommend that 1.413 budget that's been submitted to you. It's been approved by the manager. I don't know of any requirement that the board approve the budget. Chapter 164 gives full control of the plant to the manager. And the manager has submitted the budget. And so hopefully folks would agree that that's the budget that should be presented, is the one that was presented. This one, and I have to tell you that the major issue in this town, and I've been to a lot of towns, I've been to a lot of groups, a lot of meetings like this. Terrible communication. They're proposing a one-third budget without talking to the very people who are going to have to live by it. Okay, I'll give enough blame. The Light and Water Department did not fill out the Excel spreadsheet the way they wanted the Excel spreadsheet filled out, but the Light and Water Department filled out the budget the way they've always done it and the way their auditors tell them to fill it out.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, through you, I'll answer that. We have past budgets, detailed budgets, dating back, all the way back to 2009, all the way up to 2013, detailed, 65 line items. On this latest rendition that they did only 44. If they had broken out, as an example, let me finish, please. If they had broken out on the sheet, as we requested, and it was in the email string that the selectmen have, we would probably have not got that. It took 7 weeks before town meeting, and I had no response from the general manager. He did commit to do that, but he did not do that. I don't know why, don't care why, because we could not make a judgment on the budget that as he submitted and try to review whether he did a good job of bringing that, or did he end up giving raises that are above and beyond in today's thing. Additional thing is that we also looked at additional water departments in other communities, the community of Townsend, Athol, Lancaster. This budget of $1.4 million is $600,000 above their water department. It has extensive overhead in it that they end up having a business manager, a general manager, an accountant. They have a clerical person. They have a foreman. They have a superintendent and 2 workers. That, when you look out at any as far as structure of any enterprise or any organization, that is too much overhead on any particular one, especially when they ended up coming up with $65,000 worth of losses. They should have been looking to take and end up making some cuts on that particular portion of their budget. They didn't. It appears that the way they submitted, that there were increases anywhere from 10 to 14%.
And if I can just respond too with it, and I think what the frustration, if I'm interpreting this correctly, and what some of the frustration was, the finance board wasn't asking them to do something new. They were asking them to do what had always been done.
That's
For some
correct.
reason, that was changed. So I think that's kind of where some of that's where the issue. So these weren't new requirements that were being put on them. It was the same. And this all takes me back to the same thing. Why do they, if the water department is not required by law to do any of this, why do they do it? And that's why I have a hard time swallowing that it's just to be nice or
To be a good sister department. They are. There is, yes you are. Yes you are. And you're paying it through rates. And there's a very famous Supreme Court case in Massachusetts involving the town of Middleborough suing the Middleborough Electric Department. There was a school fire. The town manager thought that it was the fault of the electric department. And so the Supreme Court of Massachusetts says it's the ratepayers who are paying, it's the taxpayers who are paying their taxes to the Board of Selectmen versus the ratepayers who are paying their electric rates and their water rates to a separate board. And so the Supreme Court said, yes, they are separate, and yes, the town proper can sue its own electric, and in that case, gas department. In this case, it's an electric and water department. So, yes, there is legal precedent that says they're 2 separate entities.
Right. Okay, thank you
So,
very
but through the chair, if I may, what is the percentage increase on that 1.413 budget? What is the percentage total percentage increase from last year?
We could not tell because
Oh, sorry.
Excuse me,
Sorry,
sir.
if you let me answer
the
the question.
question
Yeah.
through the chair. We had two budgets that he submitted. The one, that 1.47, and then the second one, he ended up giving us as 1.408872, which was almost $1,500 difference. And it had different account numbers. We had a hard time discerning between the two of them.
Okay, I think we're kind of, yeah.
I've gone astray.
Yeah, I think that we've kind of come off the tracks a little here. The issue, why necessarily the Finance Committee did what they did or recommended the vote that they did, our viewpoint, at least speaking personally, my viewpoint hasn't changed where I would feel comfortable signing these. So I don't think we've made any headway there. We can't make you any guarantees because we did not, the purpose of tonight on the agenda was to review and discuss, not to take a vote. And obviously without taking a vote, we can't guarantee anything. And there's something else I want to clear up too. We talk about communication. As you are familiar, the open meeting laws, we are not allowed to get together and have a little powwow and discuss what we're going to do, just like we can't get together with the Light and Water Commissioners and have a little powwow. It has to be at open meetings. So we can't all get together and work something out and then come here and say, oh, there are laws to stop that from happening. So that's why, just to answer the communication issue. But if no one's going to add anything further to this conversation, if you can make it brief, please? Sure.
Well, President, would it be legally possible at the special town meeting for a person to stand up and amend the amount of money for the article in regards to the water department?
Assuming they can come up with the source. Correct.
I'm sorry, through the chair, a source of what?
The town moderator made, to give a brief synopsis, made a rule at the last town meeting that we had, that if you were going to alter a number, a figure that was provided, you had to express what the source was. So you couldn't just say, we want to put $200,000 in stabilization. You had to say where that would come from. But
So,
that's,
for example, if the Light and Water Department approves that 1.413 budget next week, somebody could stand up on the floor and say, I move to amend the 1/3 budget to the full year, like all the other city departments, at 1.413 million.
correct, if they
If
could.
they had the budget that was approved by the board.
Well, not with the language of this particular article, because it says to use that money until a special town meeting in the fall of 2013.
So they could amend that as well.
Anything? Yes.
You can't change the whole article, you can't change the language or nothing.
Right.
Otherwise, it's not the warrant.
Right, it has to be a sufficient warrant.
You know that.
Okay, well, it looks like we've kind of come to a standstill here in terms of what we're going to be able to accomplish here. So if anyone has anything else, it looks like we'll move on to the next topic, which is action on the Recreation Department swim program.
No, but I think it's like watching the
Do you,
Yes.
Jeff, did you want to speak to this at all?
It's self-evident.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's kind of a formalization.
Do we have to accept the letter, or?
Yes, you need to accept that it's basically allowing a town.
Oh, if I could have
private
moving,
property, which we always do.
if I could have everyone's attention that wants to stay, we're moving forward with the meeting, please. Thank you.
Okay. I'll make a motion that we send a letter regarding the swim program to Mr. Legier of the Templeton Fish and Gun Club for the swim program that's held Monday, July 1st, 2013 through Thursday, August 1st, 2013.
Do I have a second?
Yeah, I'll second that. Do we have anybody here from the Recreation Department?
I can speak to it if need be.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of remembering that there was some new laws and things that came about because of some drownings last year, so I just wanted to make sure that we're aware
Exactly.
of all of the new regulations regarding those kinds of programs.
If I could have everyone's attention, please, thank you. Or quiet, you don't have to pay attention, but go to sleep then or something.
I'm gonna need this.
Sure.
I need this.
Right, so is anyone here from the Recreation Department? No.
No.
Yeah. So, no, I mean, I think it's a great program. I just think we need to make sure Recreation is aware of, any of these new laws, certain things that happen in the.
Do you want me to amend my motion? That they follow the new laws and regs regarding swim programs?
Yes.
Right.
Can you guys speak up? I just had a request. Yes.
I can't really speak for them, but I will say that for many years, probably 40, they have had this program at the club. It's taught a lot of kids to swim. I think the club's had no problem with it, and I think they have insurance and all that stuff straightened out. So I would definitely say, this saves lives, kids learn to swim. It's a good thing.
I agree. It's a great program. It's just, I know there are some new laws involved that we just need to be aware
Okay.
of, is all I'm saying.
Get a hold of the rec.
It's a great program.
Yes.
What's the question? I can't hear what you're saying now.
It's my understanding that because of some drownings that occurred during public programs in years past, that there's been new laws enacted that publicly run programs have to follow. So my just question was, is the Recreation Department aware of these new laws, and we just need to make sure that, we follow them?
Okay, I can talk with Teresa. I can talk with Teresa Griffiths of the swim, she runs the program,
Yeah.
and there's a letter tonight for you to sign that goes off to Templeton BOS for his approval to have it there. And then all the testing is I believe it's already underway. Of the water.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I don't have any problem with the program or the fact that it's being done at the club. I just want to make sure.
Right, that we're up to date with
Right.
safety. Okay. So is that?
So we'll vote?
Okay.
Oh, so the first and second stand is...
All right, is that okay? Did you say, okay?
Okay, so we'll vote. Julie?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes. The next item we have is action on appointments. We have a list of appointments, which are, the vast majority of which are through 2014.
Yeah, there's a couple of threes in there every now and then.
Oh, yeah.
Ones and sixes.
Yeah. The way the appointments are organized this year, it's alphabetically by the person's last name, and if they hold more than one appointment, they're all listed together under the person's name. So some people will have a couple of appointments that are 1 years, and then they might have a 3-year as well.
Do I have a motion regarding the list of appointments we have here? Or if you're still reviewing, that's fine.
No, I would make a motion that we appoint the following people as listed in the chart.
Do I have a second?
Second,
Okay, Julie?
yes.
Doug?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
for the record, then, we'll note this is the chart at the meeting of the 10th, because there are additional appointments yet to be made. This is not conclusive, it's exclusive.
Gotcha. Okay, the next is action on poll workers appointment. We have a request from Carol Harris, the town clerk, requesting that Isaac Mattson, Sally Frisk, Janice Lavelle, and Carol Clark be appointed poll workers until June 30th, 2013.
I make a motion to appoint Isaac Mattson, Sally Frisch, Janice Lovell, and Carol Clark to be poll workers until June 30th, 2013.
Second.
Julie?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
And I vote yes. The next thing we have is an action on vacation request. From Kate Myers, requesting to roll over into fiscal year 14 remaining vacation time, which is 4 days that need to be used before June 30th, 2013. Under the circumstances of being understaffed, she was not able to take the remainder of her vacation. And if the request is granted, she'll be using those 4 days before October 1st, 2013.
Ken?
Yes.
Just as a point, the reason why this comes up for discussion is in the past, the Board of Selectmen have voted in certain circumstances to allow people to carry their vacation
Okay.
to the next fiscal year. So that's why this request is here. And I will make a motion that we grant this request for vacation time.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. Okay. Julie?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
And I will vote yes. The next item we have is an action on the new server.
Actually, Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
can we bundle all three of these information technology requests as a single item?
Yes, sir. we may.
Let me tell you a tale of woe. When things happen, they happen in threes. We have the main server in the Board of Selectmen that services 690 Patriots Road in a state of failure. One of the capacitors on the board has blown, another one is weak. It occasionally shuts itself off randomly. We now have a fan on it, we have the door open and the air conditioning running 7x24 to help it limp along. We need to make an emergency procurement to replace that server. Whether it is before June 30th or after June 30th is a moot point. If we don't replace it soon, it will just fail and we're done. That's point number one. Point number two, our internet service provider, who has been in business for 18 years, Galaxy Internet Services in Marlborough and Newton, Massachusetts, is quite literally pulling the plug on us, our website, and our accounts effective June 30th. They gave us 30 days notice. This is never done. It's uncalled for, but they're just going out of business, and they said, sorry, we don't care. So we need to replace our internet service provider immediately. The good news is we've already started a discussion with Virtual Town Hall for the new website, and we will effort the website, and we will probably be able to do that by July 1st so that we won't be off the air. But we need a new and different domain other than templeton1.org, which goes away, and I'm looking to license a new domain, which will probably, I can't guarantee, probably be templetonmath.gov. We will have that as the host of our website on a new website come July 1. But we must also do something about email services. I just want your grace and the request that you have me pursue it, and 2 weeks from tonight I will have to give you a definitive answer because we have to have email. And I will then, in 2 weeks, have an answer on the server, whether we buy it out of free cash, leftover expense money at the end of this year, or on July the 2nd, because we're in the new fiscal year, I don't know. But again, all these things happened at once without any planning, and it just happens that way in information technology. So that's the report. We will be going to Virtual Town Hall by July 1st. That's a fact. The only question is, what else can we do to make these other pieces come together?
Mr. Chairman, if I could make a recommendation that maybe the coordinator should come before the advisory board with emergency requests, take it out of the emergency reserve for the server.
Okay, all right. Once I have a quotation, I'll, next meeting is?
19th.
Okay.
And if it's really a capacitor issue, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's right.
If it's a capacitor issue on the board, those don't last long. So we
Yeah,
need to
we're limping.
not waste
And
any time.
I don't know anything about this except the tech guy, and I guess you know about this. He said, you're on borrowed time. It's like you're in the iron lung and someone else is breathing for you. You know? I said, okay, I get the message. Yeah.
Then I'm going to make a motion for the town coordinator to submit a request to the advisory board, so it'll be ready for the 19th for the server issue.
Do I have a second?
Second, yeah.
Okay. Vote Julie?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes.
Okay. Very good. I have one other item before we close. Informational on short notice. The Montechusett Regional Planning Commission is updating all of the trail maps in the area. They are in touch with the town and with the planning board and with, I believe, also Conservation and Recreation to update these maps. But it's worthy to note that we have about another week, 9 days, to respond and update any information that anyone in town has regarding walking trails, certified or otherwise, which we can then get back to them and have updated maps made available. So I won't put this up on the website, but if anyone who watches this evening or hears my voice has information about walking trails, recreational trails in Templeton, please call me or send me an email, towncoordinator@templeton1.org, and tell me what you know, what you don't know, any issues, any concerns, so that we can feed them in. Thank you.
Is there anything else before we go on to the meeting reminders? Okay, if there is nothing else,
There is
Oh,
this.
yes.
Steve from Boston, do we know when Jeff's gonna be back in front of us?
Next month at some time. I mean, nothing's guaranteed, but I believe sometime in July. If anyone has any more accurate information.
So the best I know is late July. It's not definitive.
Is there anything else? Okay, if not, our meeting reminders, planning board hearing Tuesday, June 11th at 6:30. Cemetery meeting is Thursday, June 13th at 6:30. Advisory board is Wednesday, June 19th at 6:30. Board of Selectmen, Monday, June 24th at 6:30. June 25th is the town election in the Narragansett Regional High School gym. The 27th of June is the special town meeting in Narragansett Regional Middle School auditorium at 7 o'clock.
Wednesday's meeting.
And this Wednesday, the 12th of June at 6:30.
Six.
At 6?
6
I knew I'd be wrong with that.
6.
6 o'clock will be the Board of Selectmen meeting as well.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
If I may, there will be a pre-town meeting on the 19th at 6 o'clock.
So pre-town for the advisory board, Wednesday, June 19th at 6 o'clock.
That's correct.
And then the advisory board meeting at 6:30?
Following it.
Following, gotcha. Okay. Thank you, everyone, for your attendance. We appreciate it. This meeting's adjourned. Oh, can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
It's unanimous.
I haven't forgotten you.
Yes, thank you. I'm like addicted.